Hey everybody, you made it back. It's Friday. You're here. It's the Square to Circle Music channel. It's all happening. Oh yeah, what a fun week. What an energizing week. Spring is here. Um, yeah, I just was like on one all week, just like talking about live music and like my favorite live experiences and live albums and all that. And I just kind of wanted to like end the week with a big shebang and talk about something that's obviously, full of spirit and full of life and full of in a sense, kind of rejuvenation. And I'm talking about fucking punk rock. So let's talk about punk rock tonight, everybody. It's the perfect type of music to listen to in, times of, strife and war and poverty and starvation and just all the fucking horrible shit that's going on in the world and how it progresses to get even more worse as the time goes on since the inception of punk rock music. And it's just, you can say it for every single year since the the dawn of man, that just like the world really needs punk rock right now. So thank goodness for it. And I really wanted to just like highlight, like I said, that spirit of just, the attitude, the fuck you nature, the quality of punk rock and what it gives us for the youth, for everybody. Punk rock is for everybody. So yeah, these are going to be a selection of 10 of my very favorite bands and albums. You know what I mean? It's kind of like all encompassing. This will just happen to be, I don't have like multiple albums from any of these bands I'm going to talk about right now. Well, except for maybe one. But yeah, so these are just kind of like my favorite albums by my favorite punk rock bands. So whatever, it's just my top 10. So these lists that I do are very colorful, very subjective, and we just have a good time. So if you guys aren't here to have a good time, there's the fucking door. We're talking about punk rock, motherfuckers. And then here we go. This is the first one on my top 10 list of punk rock hits. Brought it out before. It bears repeating. This is definitely one of the most legendary albums of all time by one of the most legendary punk rock bands of all time. I'm not gonna pretend like I really know a whole lot about these guys. I'm not one of those, like I said, I'm not a fucking, patch wearing, I'm not in the club, I'm not in the punker club, but that doesn't mean I can't enjoy, the goods that punk rock has given the world. And of course, I love the fucking Clash. I love London Is Calling so much. This was released the year I was born in 1980. Well, in America, it was released in 1980. And of course, the UK, it was released in 1979. So we didn't get its fruits until a year later here in the US. But, this shit was all over the fucking radio when I was growing up. I loved just that whole Joe Strummer thing, dude. Joe Strummer's the fucking shit. His look, his attitude, the songs he wrote, just everything. And what an iconic, beautiful fucking, photograph for an album cover. This has so much fucking great music on it. And that's particularly why I really like this album more than the rest of their albums, is just because it has, 2 discs and just like fuck tons of great tunes by them. So this is an original pressing. It's got the really cool, like, before there were parental advisory stickers that looked like we remember, like in the 90s. This is the warning that they gave parents and children and whatever else. Pretty funny. Yeah. Punk rock definitely didn't ruin the world like everyone thought it was going to. What an amazing fucking album. Legendary. So I play this quite a bit, and it's got just the right energy. You know what I mean? Not too much fuck the world attitude, just enough kind of like, sarcasm and wit and just dirty, cool, I don't know, but still like the music and the overall message of what the Clash was doing was inspirational in a way. And I like that in my punk rock music too. There should always be, a bit of the yin and a bit of the yang, right, folks? Okay, let's move it along here with all my ridiculous metaphor. Here's something from my era, specifically, the early 90s of what was going on in the West Coast, the uprising of like what people called skate rock or skate punk in the early 90s, which kind of like metamorphosized into kind of like a poppier, faster version of like the hardcore scene, that was like kind of started in the East Coast and made its way to the West Coast. you know, kind of like coming out of like that kind of Misfits and like Black Flag and that kind of shit, you know, and just made kind of like a faster, poppier, more metal infused sound. And these guys were definitely a huge part of that, and kind of the more kind of undersung band of all those groups that made that kind of like made that scene here in the West Coast. Talking about kind of the East Bay hardcore Berkeley skate rock scene. These guys are called Screw 32. You guys remember Screw 32? I thought they were fucking dope. There was a lot of those bands in the early 90s, mid 90s, like right when I was like in high school. A lot of it was getting thrown at us, and my, you know, I don't know, I always kind of had to really like overanalyze things, even as as just a kid, you know, 14, 15 years old. I was always kind of like, all those punk bands, they're just like not great at their instruments, and they're just like, you know, he's not the greatest singer and doesn't play drums like Carter Beauford does from Dave Matthews Band, you know. So I always just like, a lot of it, 90% of it, I had a hard time latching on to. It was impressive, it was cool, it was fast, it was furious, it was fun. A lot of it was kind of obnoxious. But these guys really were my cup of tea. They were very proficient on their instruments. I liked the guy's singing style. The guitar player as well did, I think, a lot of the singing. Toward the end of the album, fuck, what's that? I think it's it's Guilty Conscience is like the second to last song on the album, and I think their guitar player does a lot of singing, different style, much more kind of like the hardcore sound was coming out in his singing, as opposed to kind of the more pop punk skate rocky kind of sound that their main singer. I don't know, they ended up having some real awful things happen. Like one of those poor unfortunate situations where the band kicks ass, they have a great career for a few years, and you know, they were on Fat Records, weren't they? Well, this one was released on Wingnut Records, but then I think Fat Mike signed them. Or no, maybe they were on Epitaph. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. I think they actually put out most of their stuff on Epitaph. Anyway, where was I going with this? They're just the shit. They're one of the betters. I really like what they're doing. Fast and Furious, kind of a more of a hardcore sound than really pop punk. But you guys, if you don't remember them, get back into them, or if you haven't heard of them, check them the fuck out. I liken them to, you know, what a lot of those dudes, you know, Lagwagon, NoFX, you know, Strung Out, all those guys, what they were doing in, you know, 92, 93, 94. I just like these guys so much better. They're pretty cool. Some more of the classic. I've also brought this one out recently, and I just wanted to bring it up again. It's the only one of their albums I own, but it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of their best. Really just kind of like breakthrough, super experimental for the time and place and what was going on here again on the West Coast of America in the United States. But 1980, not a lot of guys were doing this type of stuff. I really love and respect the Dead Kennedys for what they were doing in 1980 with Fresh Fruit for Rotten Vegetables. Fresh Fruit for Rotting Vegetables, again, like I said, super legendary on his record label, Jello Biafra. He created the Alternative Tentacles record label, and yeah, I mean, first track on the album, Kill the Poor, Kill the Poor, Kill the Poor. Oh man, so fucking cool. California, Uber Ellis. Yeah, this one gets me. I mean, I just want to fucking kick up my boots and start dancing. Fucking love this shit. Dead Kennedys, legendary. Fucking legendary, man. Seeing Jello Biafra talk and perform in the early 2000s, I talked about that last night. He's such a kook and such an inspirational, kind of creative, odd talent, you know? Yeah, respect the shit out of those guys. Anyway, yeah. Dead Kennedy's great. Gonna go back into that realm that I was talking about, man, that early 90s when I just like was getting into high school and really kind of discovering this type of rock and roll. It was just kind of like, man, I really kind of like this. This is good. Of course, you know, every kid, when you're that age, they were always the kind of introductory band for a lot of kids getting into like fast music and like, you know, hard music and crazy punk shit. But yeah, thank goodness for Green Day. That's all I can say. Green Day's fucking fantastic. Any of you haters out there, eat a dick. Eat some dookie. You know, this wasn't my first album from them, but this is just the only one I have right now. I just have it on CD. That's all I need. That's the only bit of Green Day I really need is this one. Kerplunk was dope too. I had Kerplunk for many, many, many years. That was my introductory record to Green Day. But I don't know. This one just like really, really takes me back, really makes me smile. You know, Billy Joe Armstrong is a really great songwriter and a really clever lyricist. And, you know, I honestly can't say I like anything that they did after this album. Insomniac was good too, 1995, I think, right? Anyway, this was 94, and nothing says freshman year of high school like Green Day Dookie, right? Fucking great album. Love the shit out of this album. Had to bring it up. One of my very favorites. I wouldn't say necessarily Green Day is one of my favorite punk bands of all time, but that album specifically. This one's kind of right up the same alley. Again, I had already mentioned them. I really, you know, Strung Out's fucking fantastic. I actually just saw a post that one of my homies put like on Instagram. Shout out Nate Beveridge. Love you, pal. He posted about Strung Out today on Instagram and mentioned that an album that I never really listened to, but it became 20 years old today, right? So probably, you know, it was released in whatever, '02. I don't remember the name of the album, but this is the one I listened to. It was the only one I got. I probably got it the same day I bought Dookie at the Record Garden Annex in Springfield, Oregon. Funny story, actually, a bunch of dudes I was with, I'm not going to name any names, but, you know, dudes hanging out with in high school, and we were in the record store, and they were fucking shoplifting shit. They were jacking shit. They were sticking CDs down their pants and stuff, and I wanted nothing to do with it. I mean, I still love those bros. I love those guys, but yeah, they were stealing stuff, and I was just like, fuck you guys, stealing from the record store. Whatever. I purchased my CDs that day, and this was one of the ones I bought. She says she will always wait for me. Back to I don't mind. No, I don't mind. Fast, cool, poppy, really fucking tight. One of the tightest, you know, punk bands, skate rock bands out of the 90s. Like I said, fast, furious, really tight, really awesome. I appreciated and respected their musicianship, and you know, just one of the choppier bands. These guys had chops, man. They were fucking sick. So yeah, wanted to bring up Strung Out. Sorry, Twisted by Design is the name of the album, 1995. Twisted by Design by Strung Out. And again, those dudes, East Bay hardcore, started out as kind of, you know, really wanting to embrace that kind of the hardcore thing that was melting into the West Coast, and then they just kind of like every year just kind of like metamorphosized and changed their sound just a tiny bit, but just were growing and getting better and better and better. And then they just took it to a whole new level and just became like these icons, these like glam, metal, artsy, punk icons. And it was great. It was great to watch. It was great to watch Davey Havok and the boys just kind of like totally, you know, metamorphosize into something that was continually getting better. Like really every album was just far surpassing the previous. And they did that for fucking years. They did it for like 5, 6, 7 years in a row. I mean, I love Black Sails into the Sunset, the EP, and I fucking love The Art of Drowning. The Art of Drowning was the first I ever heard of these guys, you know, 1996, right? I think in high school, my buddy Isaac was really fucking into them and was just always walking around school with his headphones on and air drumming on everything. Isaac air drummed on everything, and he just walked around school and didn't pay attention to anyone. He was just like always listening to The Art of Drowning by AFI. I was really taken aback, and I loved the shit out of this album. Sing the Sorrow. This was like their 2001 iteration. When they just kind of like, I mean, they didn't totally change. They were still fucking just hardcore punk as fuck. Moments of like their earlier days when they were kind of more of like a skate rock band. But yeah, East Bay, just deliciousness. I mean, they're legendary now. Everyone knows who AFI is. I don't need to talk at length about fucking AFI. But man, these guys, they sure do have a fire inside of them. Sing the Sorrow, it is my favorite album of theirs. I'll always go back and listen to The Art of Drowning quite a bit, but in this era of AFI, it was really just, you know, smart and artsy and cool. And I felt like they were growing up with me and I was growing up with them, and they were getting more sophisticated and I was getting a little more sophisticated, right? Oh, that's the fucking stupidest thing I've ever said. Love the shit out of AFI. And again, these guys, absolutely legendary. I wanted to bring this is the one in the beginning I said, I only have like one, album from these bands. And this is the one band that I have multiple albums of. And I'm not actually going to show you an album, but I really like this this collection of songs that also appeared in a full-length LP album. But this is the movie that they made. Oh shit, the glare, sorry. My favorite punk rock band, Fugazi. And they did the Instrument album, and they did a movie. And I fucking love the Instrument album so much. I could listen to those three, Lali and fucking Picciotto, and the drummer. I forget the drummer's name. The fucking drummer's name? I can't remember. I could just listen to the three of them, just kill it all day long. I mean, God bless Ian MacKaye, but more so than a Minor Threat guy, I was a Fugazi guy in high school. I discovered these guys, and this is what made me discover like real punk rock, not just kind of like, oh, Green Day, boo boo, welcome to paradise. I was like, wow, Fugazi, these guys are really deep and kind of dark and kind of weird and sardonic and artsy, and this is a really fun watch. If anyone hasn't seen this DVD, this movie, check it out. Excellent. All instrumental Fugazi music is the shit. These guys, again, as music for me started getting a little less popular, music oriented, pop, skate punk oriented, I was really starting to dig the stuff that was like more metal, that had been infused with a heavier sound, kind of like Fugazi too. They really had some dark elements and some heavier kind of, heavier aesthetic and vibe to them. So I wouldn't say they're borderline metal band, but you get what I'm saying. You guys know what I'm talking about. These guys are just kind of the super far end of the punktastic metal spectrum, where they're just like basically more of a metal band, in my opinion, than a punk band. But by attitude and by way of what the lyrics and message that they are giving the world, and just their entire package deal, their aesthetic and their vibe, they're just insanely fucking cool. Thank you, Kyle Moninger, for turning me on to these guys in 1996. This album, Songs to Fan the Flames of Discontent. Whew, Swedish hardcore, dude, and they got signed to Epitaph here in the States. Thank goodness. We've got the wrong songs. Oh man. Hook, Line, and Sinker, Return to the Closet, Life Support Addiction, opening the album with Rather Be Dead. This fucking album has to go down in history as one of the greatest A-sides like ever. Note taken. By far one of the greatest A-sides in rock and roll history, punk rock history. This band, dude, yeah, like I said, Swedish hardcore, whew, can't beat it. Can't beat it with a stick. Love the shit out of Refused. And they made this album, another one after it in 99, The Shape of Punk to Come. And then they took a pretty long break. No, did they have that one more? I think they had one more before they took at least a 10 or 15 year hiatus. And now they're putting out music again, and it still fucking kills. Look at these fucking dudes. There's babies. Yeah, one of my favorite punk drummers too. The drummer, what's his name? Is Christopher or something like that. Christopher something. Incredible drummer. Like I said, just really like crushes that line of like metal and punk, just like the sound that he gets out of his drums, and he's just like plays them like a goddamn animal. Pretty amazing. Speaking of goddamn animals, here we go. This is kind of like second to last, but yeah, these guys, I've seen them in my hometown. I think I saw them like twice. They used to come to Eugene quite a bit. I don't really know much more about these guys than that. And I don't know if they're still making music or if they kept making music after like, the late 90s into the mid 2000s, but they put out a bunch of albums, and all of us guys loved the shit out of them. And I put this on and reminisce and have a great fucking time. You guys I love Zeke. Who doesn't love Zeke, dude? Kicked in the teeth. 1998. This fucking album it's just, what did my buddy Jared, shout out Jared Hill, love you buddy, what did he used to call these guys? He just called them race car rock. He's just like, oh, I can love Zeke, dude. Let's go see Zeke. We go, John Henry's, man, they're fucking race car rock, dude. Feel like driving a race car to this shit. He's so hilarious. I think their logo is like two black and white checkered flags, isn't it? I think that's like, that was part of their logo and aesthetic for a long time. Anyway, Zeke's the shit. Like I said, I don't know anything about these guys, but I fucking love their music. And after seeing them live, I'm just like, yeah, that's just totally my style. Again, more of kind of like that real kind of heavy, you know, the distortion level and the stuff he was doing with his guitar, just really metal influenced. You could tell he was listening to a lot of, I mean, you know, early 90s stuff, you know, the alternative rock and Nirvana and shit like that, but more kind of like, you know, 80s metal. He was listening to thrash metal, Metallica and stuff like that. You can hear the inspirations coming out, and they're fucking furious, dude. Check out Zeke. Kicked in the teeth. And like I said, they have lots of albums. That just happens to be my favorite. But yeah, everybody get on the tubes and check them out. Man, I forgot. I was going to bring out my special mentions. I always do the special mentions, and I forgot this time. But I have them over here. I don't need to pull them out, but I don't collect 7-inch singles. I'm not that type of a guy. I've never DJ'd, and I've never had just a little 45 player. I didn't grow up as a kid with, I mean, I had a Fisher-Price 45 player, but I didn't use it for anything more than a Winnie the Pooh record or whatever. You know, I've just never collected 7-inch records for any reason. I don't enjoy spinning singles, and like I said, I've never DJ'd. And I don't know. I'm a long play guy. I like my 12-inch, and I'm a guy that's into like aesthetics, you know. I like the feel and look and everything about an LP, you know, 12 inches of love, and I can put it on and I can listen for, you know, 20 minutes on each side, rather than just kind of like, oh, there's a song. Oh, I gotta get up and stand up and flip it again. And it doesn't, I don't know. Yeah, a lot of you collectors and appreciators now are getting pissed off at me. No, just strictly an LP guy. Point being, talking about punk rock, I have like 2 or 3 7-inches, and I meant to bring them out and show them you guys. Where are they? Oh wait, I think they're right here. Pardon me a moment while I pull out my 7-inch records that I collected when I was just a teenager, and I just kept all the cool 7-inches that I got from people and at punk rock shows and shit. And like, yeah, I have 2 copies of that. Wow. These are friends of mine that I haven't really, I mean, I still talk to the bass player of this band. He's a close personal friend, always has been. Zach Brooks, love you, buddy. He played bass in this band, amongst many other bands back in the day. But these guys, I don't know, this was their best faction. They were called Nowhere Fast. They were fucking sick. Oh, man. Love these guys. Brian Fields played guitar. Brian Fields, shout out, love you, buddy. And Scott Sutton, incredible drummer. Really cool guy. I used to hang out. We used to share a studio. We had a studio behind, what was that place? Duke's Light and Sound in Springfield, Oregon, you know, like in the late 90s. We shared studio space in an alley behind that place. Duke was cool as hell. He loved listening to us just like shred and play rock and roll. And we shared a studio with these guys. Love the shit out of them. One of the best, you know, punk, alternative rock punk bands to come out of the Eugene, Springfield area, like ever. So there might even be stuff on the internet of these guys, but you might be able to find this little 7-inch somewhere. It's pretty cool. It's more like an EP. There's at least 4 songs on here, 2 on each side. So yeah, the Nowhere Fast EP, pretty dope. I think that was recorded by my homie Joe too. Did Joe Fitty record that, guys? No, I don't know. Maybe he did. In this, no, that's just a regular 7-inch of a band called Pinback. But yeah, I don't remember those guys, and I don't remember where I got that. I just specifically wanted to bring out this one too, because somebody who is a watcher and hopefully a subscriber, we were talking about Pacific Northwest, and they were like, dude, Pacific Northwest bands, and you didn't bring up Oswald 50? And I was like, oh fuck, I totally should have. I've had this since I saw these guys. Fuck, what did I see? I think they played the Voltage in Springfield, like an all ages venue. Anyway, it was either that or it was like Icky's. I probably saw them and got this at Icky's Tea House. But yeah, the Oswald 5-0, their first little EP that they did, just a 4-song little EP. I've just been carrying this around for fucking 30 years. Pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, this one too, not quite 30 years, but that's all I got for 7-inch 45s. I'm just not that type of guy. I only keep the little punk ones that I get from random punk rock shows that I've been to, you know. That's it. All right, guys, short and sweet tonight, you know, in the nature and the spirit of fucking punk rock music. Short and sweet. It was a cool fad. I mean, some say it's still going in many different ways, but as you can tell, I'm not really into like a lot of the classic era of punk rock music from the very beginnings. I can appreciate it and dig it. You know, I've listened to my fair share of the Sex Pistols and fucking Crass and all that awesome hardcore shit, you know. It's just not something that I buy and listen to all the time. And I don't like the Sex Pistols. But whatever. Fuck y'all. These guys are my favorite punk rock band of all time. In the vein of what I was talking about before, again, because I'm a 90s kid, you know, and early 90s and mid 90s stuff, these guys were just the best. They were the most, they had the best sense of humor, some of the best musicianship, the greatest lyrics, the greatest kind of like, you know, punk rock sentiment, attitude, you know, anti-establishment, just kind of like the whole package, the whole kit and caboodle. Talking about Propaganda. Who doesn't love the shit out of Propaganda? Canadian band aren't they from Manitoba? I don't know, something like that. I think they're from Manitoba. But yeah, Canadian, fucking started out, you know, it's kind of more of a pop punk, skate punk band, but then really metamorphosized after, you know, I was going to show How to Clean Everything, but I just have that on an old broken CD case, and everyone, whatever, How to Clean Everything is always on everyone's top lists. This is my favorite of their albums. You know, they did How to Clean Everything like 93, Let's Talk More Rock, which was like kind of like, again, it was getting like highly more political and crazier lyrical content and more just kind of like anti-establishment, fuck you in the face, you know, pro-feminine, you know, pro-gay, all that shit. Let's Talk More Rock. Really cool album. But the listing of songs just kind of like, I don't know, I couldn't really get into it. I think that was the last album that featured their bass player, the guy, I think he played with the Me First and the Gimme Gimmes, didn't he? Something like that. Anyway, I think he left the band. There was like 5 years that transpired before they put this out. But yeah, Today's Empires, Tomorrow's Ashes. By Propaganda, I think this was 2000. Yeah, or 99. It was either 99 or 2000, but dude, my jaw fucking dropped. Same cool band, same fast, funny, also, you know, great, quick-witted, quick lyrical, amazing guitar playing, amazing musicianship altogether, but the guy's like attitude and his voice had grown much huskier. You know, he'd aged quite a few years and was getting into like maybe his mid-30s by this time, and he just had way, like I said, more of like kind of a guttural power punk, almost metal sound, and I love the shit out of that. You know, these guys definitely turned into a metal, you know, more of a hardcore sound, hardcore punk band. And this album is fucking amazing. I mean, just an amazing list of tunes, you know, enough to just like tucker you out. This album will fucking tucker you out. But it's worth every second of the spin. Yeah, it's my favorite punk rock album. I don't know if I want to say it's my favorite punk rock album, but it definitely is my favorite punk rock band, you know, in that ilk. I love me and my Fugazi, but to me it's like, you know, Fugazi and Propaganda are like two completely different groups, almost in two separate genres, because this is, again, you know, so fueled by like 80s metal and hair metal and stuff like that, you know, and Fugazi certainly isn't that. Yeah, that's all my favorites, guys. So again, fucking short and sweet. Hope you guys have an excellent weekend. Get some rest and keep them clean. Peace in the crease. And yeah, peace be with you. Bye.